Originally from the South Island of New Zealand. Here's a fight side by side. McConville on Andre Heimgartner. Great run out of the final corner. He's in the ideal place to pull this move off on the inside into turn one. Let's forget for a moment he's got a 5-second penalty and celebrate a really good overtake. Good pass, but it might be all for nothing because Heimgartner uses the bumper bar. Tries to move McConville out the way. Cam has nothing of that and holds his spot and stays third. Good pass. And now he needs to put his head down and build a margin over the pack behind, who are all squabbling over 5th through 10th place. Bearing in mind he'll have 5 seconds added to his race time. There's 4 laps to go. Porsche Carrera Cup Australia racing internationally for the first time and putting on a cracking show. I hope everyone back home, it's the evening, the eastern seaboard of Australia, coming up to 7:30 p.m. Prime time Porsche racing. Couldn't ask for anything more on a Saturday evening in a winter down south.
There's 4 laps to go, but the lead is now down to 3 seconds. It's coming down, but probably not fast enough rate for Alex Davison there.
And just for everyone back home, especially those in Melbourne and Adelaide in particular, where single-digit temperatures have been the norm the last couple of weeks, gone around McBride spins. Was there contact? So Nick McBride was P6. He's now P10. He might get gobbled up by the challenge runners as well. So that battle pack was brewing all race, and it just exploded, and it ended with McBride pointing the wrong direction. And he'll be lucky to finish any better than P10 in this, unless this battle pack continues to tee off. To finish my point before we go to this fight with Dylan O'Keefe, single-digit temperatures down south of Australia, 33 degrees and lovely here. Just thought I'd point that out. Hello to everyone at home. We're waving. O'Keefe down the inside. And that's a good pass. And he will move himself to 4th place, which on corrected times with McConville's penalty will be P3 at the end of this. So a top 3 finish on the cards for Dylan O'Keefe. Bit of damage on the front left corner. President Limo APB Group car. G'day to Paul and everyone at APB Group who'll be watching on back home. Your boy is driving really, really well. And this car has come on in the second half of the race. And O'Keefe now amongst the fastest on the racetrack. 2:10.3 last, or 2:10.7 last time round. A couple of tenths quicker than McConville. David Wall, I don't think there's any question, Tom, over his tyre condition. 2:09.9 last time round, his fastest lap of the race. So he had tyre condition to burn, and now he's putting his head down and building that margin again over Alex Davison.
It's a supreme performance, isn't it, from David? That's really impressive to be able to do that at this stage of the race.
Stephen Groves back in front of Tim Miles. So that'll be lead change number 5 in the 10 laps so far in Tag Heuer Carrera Challenge. And Dean Cook holding on. So Dean raced, he was one of the Carrera Cup originals back in 2003 when Porsche Carrera Cup Australia was founded. Back in the day, running the 996 Porsche GT3 Cup car, ABS brakes, H-pattern gearbox, remember those when they were a thing? So he was one of the originals. He finished 10th in the Carrera Cup Australia Championship that year and then went on hiatus and returned this year at the Grand Prix, back here at Sepang, and qualified on pole and ended Stephen Groves' streak of 5 straight pole positions in the challenge class. And now he's running P3 behind Tim Miles and Stephen Grove. And although he loves winning, Stephen Grove thrives on competition. It's what he wants more than anything else. And I don't think he'd ever admit it, but I'd suspect he'll be more satisfied finishing second, having fought tooth and nail for 13 laps, than he would winning. Maybe equal. But at the moment, it's not a problem because he's in front. And now Dylan O'Keefe has got Cameron McConville locked in his sights.
This is a great drive from O'Keefe, isn't it? He's really, really pushed this.
Really mature performance. So Dylan, a couple of top 3s so far. He was 3rd at Phillip Island in race 1 of the Pro-Am. Had a consistent weekend in Darwin, 4th, and 7th there. He was 3rd in race 3 of Clipsal 500. I think that was the drive that made Dylan for this season. Really heads-up performance. Had dramas early in the weekend at the Clipsal 500, but blazed his way through the field. P3 on one of the toughest street circuits around, Concrete Canyon, that is that famous Adelaide circuit. He's on track to repeat that result. 4th on the road. It'll be 3rd on corrected times. And post-race investigation for Nick McBride and James Abella. So the fact that they're investigating 2 cars there indicates to me contact. And it might be reasonably serious contact. So there'll be a look at that after the race. The Abella clan, another joining us over here. Great to see so much of the travelling circus here, not just the very hard-working crews who are slaving away in pit lane in warm conditions, but the families and friends and sponsors who have all made the trip up here to KL to join the fun. Great welcome function on Thursday night in Kuala Lumpur next to the Petronas Towers. It's been an awesome week, and this has just capped it off with a brilliant opening race. A lap and a half to go for David Wall. Remember, no repeat round winners this season. If he wins today, he's halfway there with only 2 races on the program this weekend. They get 10 points for starting the combined race. And that might affect the championship down the road. The series has been decided by less than that in the past, but it won't affect the overall round result. That will be decided after race 2 tomorrow morning, our time. Here's O'Keefe. McConville's defensive. O'Keefe goes one way and the other. Almost sold him a dummy there. And gets it down the inside. And that's a change of position. That's 3rd on the road for Dylan O'Keefe. Well,
textbook move there, but McConville was fighting back here.
I don't think they've told him about the penalty either. A little bit of contact. Bit of side drafting on the run down to turn 1. Great battle. McConville will not give up. Not in his nature. A man who's been on the podium at Mount Panorama, the Bathurst 1000, Supercars round winner. So much experience behind the wheel. And he won't worry about these conditions. He's one of the fittest blokes in the paddock as well. Last lap for David Wall. Alex Davison has just punched out the fastest lap of the race. Now McConville down the inside again, but not close enough. And O'Keefe holds on. Davison's got the gap down to 2.1 seconds. But too little too late, I think, for the vastly experienced driver. David Wall's margin is safe enough on the final lap. Davison going after it though, fastest first sector of the motor race. Well, racing car drivers, I think, delight in making commentators look silly. So we were banging on about tyre conservation and making it to the end. They're setting purple sector times on the final lap of the 13-lap race. What do we know?
It's a great performance from Davison and Wall, isn't it? You've got to hand it to them. I mean, it's very, very impressive to keep their tyres in this condition throughout this race.
He's had the best average finishing position of any driver in this year's Porsche Carrera Cup Australia Championship. He leads it by 40 points coming into this race, and that margin's about to get bigger. This, in the context of the championship into the second half of the season, could be a very, very big victory for David Wall. Little team from Sydney that could. A team with a lot of experience. Double Australian GT champions with David Wall. The first part of the 2000s. And now a victory at Sepang. The first Porsche Carrera Cup Australia international race goes the way of David Wall. A lights to flag performance and a brilliant victory. And the championship leader builds his margin even more. Alex Davison fights from 5th to 2nd, and Dylan O'Keefe, it's probably a toss-up between those two for drive of the day, but O'Keefe battles his way to 3rd place and edges out Cam McConville. Now McConville's going to be relegated back to, I think, P8 at the end of that with a 5-second penalty. So it'll be Heimgartner who will end up P4. Solid championship points for the man 2nd in the standings, but it means that Wall's lead extends. Now, Tag Heuer Carrera Challenge. They're locked together. What does Tim Miles do in the final corner? Well, he shows the nose to Stephen Grove. He's going to have a go here. He's gone very deep. He locks the brakes. Too hot, too wide. Grove gets the switchback. And the battle for the challenge will go right to the line for the class win. Stephen Grove by 0.016 of a second. Grove edges out Tim Miles in an absolute thriller. Wow.
That was
So
some finish, wasn't it?
6 lead changes in Tag Heuer Carrera Challenge. And Stephen Grove wins it by 0.016 of a second from Tim Miles, who had the world's biggest crack down the inside at turn 15, I should